All right, sorry for the technical difficulties this morning. For some reason, it was like being really choppy on everything. So, welcome to the Closer's Corner podcast, the live edition that we host here every single Friday morning at 10 a.m., where I answer questions that have been submitted along the week to Closer's Corner at outfastrealty.com. They're asked on my Instagram, they're asked on my Facebook, or they're asked live in the chat. So if you have a comment or a question, you may ask it in the comments section on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I should be able to get those comments here live and answer them for you, as long as I've got that handy dandy thing called a cell phone open. All right, so first and foremost, before I get off track today, I want to we had one of our agents, Giselle Benitez. She did leave us this week, and she moved over to Compass, and I wanted to just give her a big shout out and thank her for representing OutFast Realty for the last year and a half or so extremely well. I wish you, Giselle, nothing but massive success over at Compass. So good luck to you there. And thanks again for being an awesome agent here for the last year and a half as part of the Toro Real Estate Group. All right. So one of the questions I got asked this week was in a couple of different respects of what if hiring VAs, virtual assistants, what type of expectations, what kind of expectations should you have with hiring virtual assistants? And obviously the question was asked, what kind of things can you have a virtual assistant do? So this was actually from a call I had with Joe from Wisconsin, who I went and spoke at their Wisco RIA earlier this year in the summertime. And so we hit it off real well up there, so I wanted to give him some time to answer that question on it, but I want to give you guys the same answer that I gave him. And it's like running a business, and I told him it doesn't really matter, man, if like your assistants or your employees are local versus virtual. They're still human beings. They still have to be coached, they have to be managed, they have to be trained. And the biggest thing with hiring virtual assistants is literally spending a ton of time with them on the training aspect. You have got to take a ton of time, just like you would a person that's literally sitting right next to you in your office. You have to take the time and invest into training them, and then you must at some point let them go. Let them do their job, let them be, but you have to always inspect what you expect from them. So like basically, let me give you an example. If you have a virtual assistant that is doing cold calling or texting, like one of my virtual assistants, Melody, does, first and foremost, you have to make sure that they are native speakers, because they are from the Philippines. Sometimes you can get virtual assistants from anywhere in the world. They don't have to be from the Philippines. It's just the most common one, mostly because they're cheap, right? So virtual assistants can be great because they are cheap, but you must still do the normal vetting process. Like, you can't just go hire a virtual assistant because you need help and just expect them to be fully trained. And I'll explain that in a second too about some expectations of training. You can hire VAs, virtual assistants, who have either come from working for other real estate investors, other companies, or they have maybe been trained by a virtual assistant company on real estate. So I have hired people as virtual assistants in multiple different aspects of the business, and I'll explain a couple of different ones that I've hired. So I have hired from Tracy Kaywood at the Property Mob, which was, I don't think it's even around anymore, but just to give you some examples and about it, basically I would hire a pre-trained virtual assistant from Tracy's group that was basically already trained in how a lot of the CRM works, how marketing works, how to do, a lot of different things. And then I've also hired people from Upwork.com that had experience in real estate in general, or maybe didn't have experience, and I would train them from scratch. And then I've also hired virtual assistants from Rocket Station, which I do have currently one virtual assistant with Rocket Station. That's my executive assistant, Lovely. But she was already pre-trained by them, which she was, and she already also did work for a real estate company in Georgia, but she's in the Philippines. But like, I spent literally a solid 2 full weeks, 2 weeks straight, I did not do my normal job during my normal 9 to 5 other than when we were on Zoom. We were pretty much on Zoom, ladies and gentlemen, all day, every day for about 2 weeks. And so anything that you can do on a computer, you guys can have a virtual assistant do. So Lovely, I trained her on how to answer my emails, how to sort my emails, how to tell me which ones are important. I showed her how to upload documents into Dotloop for signature, how to, use the fields and whatnot. Now, all I do is tell her a lot of times, just as an example of Dotloop, I'll review a PDF that's sent to me that's needed for signature. I'll read it and I'll just send it to her and say, fill out the things that need to get sent and then sign it for me, because I've already reviewed it and I don't even have to sign the document anymore. If I already know what's in the document, if it's something that like Heather sent me last night or a couple days ago for a contract on a house we have listed, I'm gonna review the contract in Dotloop first. I'm not gonna have her sign that until I have reviewed it, and then while reviewing, I'm signing the document. Okay, so she handles all of the stuff that a normal executive assistant would handle for me that can be done on my computer or a computer. So email, she actually does pick up the phone and call vendors. So she will call the city of St. Petersburg or Tampa or wherever to turn on the water, to turn on power if needed. I mean, a lot of stuff can be done online now, but anything that can't be done there, she will make the phone calls to the municipalities to get those utilities turned on. She pays bills for me that can be paid with a credit card online. She does all of my marketing pulls. So she goes into PropStream and she pulls the list. She then uploads the list into the skip tracer. The skip tracer sends her back the stuff. She then uploads it into our dialer. She then uploads it into our text blaster, and then it's handed off to another virtual assistant and actually does the work there. We've compartmentalized it because Lovely is not good on the phone when calling to sellers, and she knows that. That's not her job. We have I've hired people from Rocket Station. Let me see what else does Lovely do off the top of my head here. She helps me with agent recruitment. So we get a list every week of exam applicants and new licensees, people who have passed the test recently. She takes that list. She formats it, she uploads it into our KV Core CRM, and then it starts some automations on that, and then all I have to do is jump in and respond when the agents are starting to reply that they would like to interview with what we offer here at Outfast Realty. He asked what they would cost. They're going to cost, and depending on where you get them from and their experience level. Lovely, I pay her $10 an hour. Via Rocket Station. I have another one who I pay $4.50 an hour for her to do our cold calling and texting and whatnot. And then I have a virtual assistant who does some basic video editing for us. That's not part of what Startup Street does for the brokerage. It's more so our training videos get edited and stuff like that. I found him on Upwork. I pay him basically $10 an hour because he's very skilled in the graphics department. So you're not going to get somebody that's good in graphics for $5 an hour, even on Upwork. And he's in Pakistan, I believe. I have had virtual assistants from Bangladesh. I have had virtual assistants from Tennessee. I have had virtual assistants from San Diego, California. I had one that did my old podcast, Flipping Real Estate Like the Pros. My podcast producer who would help me onboard guests, send out the email stuff to him. I paid him $15 an hour. He would then take the recordings from Zoom and he would then edit them. He would upload them into whatever I forget I was using back then for my podcast hosting. I think it was Podcast Websites, which is now Captivate. Which is amazing, by the way. If you run a podcast and you're not on Captivate, you're missing out. But I have a person who helps me with the podcast distribution via YouTube, and she also runs some YouTube ads for us, and she helps with the SEO. I pay her $25 a YouTube video for optimization, uploading it, keywording, all that stuff like that, and she runs a little bit of ads for us as well to kind of build the brand across the United States, because as you guys have heard, if you haven't, we are franchising here very shortly, early Q1 of next year. All right, so those are some examples of virtual assistants. Again, inspect what you expect, which means you have to check in with them and make sure that you are following up with them and making sure they are doing their job
according to what you expect them to be doing for you. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and this does not look like it's streaming to all the platforms this morning because it's just being awesome. It's all right, whatever. It's going to most of them. It's not on my Instagram, which is great. So we'll upload that to Instagram Live later, whatever, or to it later. All right, let's see here. Other question I got from Joe, which was it's a really loaded question, but it's a good one. He was like, looking back from this year, what have I learned the most? And what would I say was the biggest takeaway from 2021? It was a really tough question to answer, but as we have massively grown this year in both agent count and in production and in building our culture and having really great people, teaching people how to fix and flip houses like Raphael and Andrew, and really helping them along the way, helping some of our agents scale their business and help them with some processes and whatnot. The thing is, like, I go to this guy, one of my from far away mentors, right? You got Grant Cardone. I've got Brad Sugars. Tony, I just got back from Tony Robbins, right? About a month ago, we were at Tony Robbins. And like, I think the thing that has really stuck home with me and my partners too, including Griff and Matt and Jeremy Cloder, is that we've always been big thinkers, right? We've always been really big thinkers, and we've had really big goals for this company and what we're doing, and people are buying into it. I don't think we are actually thinking big enough. We're in the process of the franchising thing. We're in the process of launching a new capital raise and a whole couple other big entities that we're doing. But like, what's the difference between this guy right here, and the Gary V's or the Brad Sugars or anyone that you look up to as a mentor, Darren Hardy's, Tony Robbins, all those kind of guys? What's the big difference for them? What's the difference between them and me? And I'll tell you what, it's not much, if anything at all. The big thing is time. They've just been around longer than us, right? Look at Giselle. I told you guys she moved to Compass. Compass is a phenomenal company. I think they've done a phenomenal job, just like EXP has done with them going public, and the Keller Williams of the world's, like the big boxes, right? The big guys. What have they done different? The answer is not a whole lot. But what they have done is they've just been in business long enough. Or longer than us. We've been in business as a brokerage. We'll be celebrating 5 years next month. In January, it'll be 5 years as a company on the brokerage side, which is peanuts in comparison to some of those guys. But we compare ourselves as human beings. You, me, anyone watching this, compare ourselves to those guys and gals out there that are our mentors, and we wonder why we're not there yet. And it's just because the word "yet" is the big phrase from that I've taken away from this year, is that you just have to keep pushing along, pushing through the struggles, pushing through the failures, and that you just have to keep thinking big, because there is nothing that says that we aren't capable like those people are. So let me check one last time for the live stream to see if there's any questions. I don't think so, because those were really good questions that Joe asked me earlier this week. So let me double check this. The unified chat, I turned it off because it wasn't working either. But anyway, so I do have a couple new podcasts or not episodes launching on. We have one launching on Monday from last week's recording. I have one other one today. So like I said, guys, every Friday I have the live version of the Closers Corner podcast. If you have gotten good value out of today, make sure you go to our YouTube and you subscribe to our channel. Give us a like on the videos that we upload there on the Closers Corner podcast. If you are listening to your podcast on Apple, please subscribe there. Like it or rate us, review it, all that stuff. Spotify, just give us a follow and give us a favorite. Wherever you listen to podcasts, this literally streams to pretty much everywhere. I'm always here to help you guys grow as agents, investors, anything. Let me know how I can help you, and you can email your questions to closerscorner@outfastrealty.com.
And we'll catch you guys later.
Back. Hands up.